Welcome to the channel of Accelerating Physics. In this video we are going to see the types of X-rays. We know that when few number of fast moving electrons which strike the target lose their kinetic energy to target particles, the loss of kinetic energy may be in different ways. So, depending on the loss of kinetic energy, the types of X-rays are decided. X-rays are going to be divided into two types. First type is called as characteristic X-rays or characteristic X-ray spectra, and the second type is called as continuous X-ray spectra. Now, first type we are going to discuss. What do you mean by characteristic X-ray spectra? Now, few of the fast moving electrons having velocity about 1/10 of the velocity of light may penetrate the surface atoms of the target material and knock out the tightly bound electrons even from the innermost shells like K or L shell of the atom. The vacancies so created may be filled up by the electrons from higher shells. Now, in this way, electrons from higher levels jumps to fill the created vacancies. Thus, electronic transitions take place. The energy difference is radiated in the form of X-rays of very small wavelengths. Now, in this diagram, it is very clear that when the high velocity beam of electron hits this target, then one of the electrons situated from innermost orbit is knocked out or it is taken off, and the vacancy is created at this place. So the vacancy is filled up by the electron from the higher orbit, and when it is jumping from higher to lower orbit, the X-rays are given out, and these X-rays are called as characteristic X-rays. Now, the wavelengths depend upon the target material. Why it is called as characteristic? Because the wavelength depends upon target material. The X-ray spectra consist of sharp lines and the characteristic of the target material. Due to this reason, the spectra is known as characteristic spectra or line spectra. Resultant X-ray energy is dependent on the difference in energy levels between electron orbits. For a given target material, that is tungsten, the orbital energy levels are constant. Therefore, the emitted X-rays have discrete energies that are characteristics of the element. That is, the characteristic X-ray photons can identify the target material. When the fast moving electron knocks off one electron from K shell and the vacancy is filled by the nearby electron from L shell, this corresponds to K1 line of K series. The frequency of this line is given by Ek minus El equal to h into nu1, where nu is the frequency of incident radiation, h is the Planck's constant. This is energy according to Planck's quantum theory, and El indicates that it is energy of the L orbit. Ek, it indicates that energy of the K orbit. So we are going to take the difference, and this difference certainly comes out to be h into nu1. It is just possible that the vacancy in K shell may be filled by an electron from a still outer orbit. In this case, Ek minus Em equal to h into nu2, where m is the higher orbit as compared to L orbit. So the energy comes out to be h into nu2. The K line consists of K alpha, K beta and K gamma lines, which are caused by the fall of an electron into K shell from L, M, N shell respectively. Similarly, L lines consist of L alpha, L beta and L gamma lines, which are caused by the fall of an electron into K shell from M, N, O shell respectively. This is the diagram of the line spectra. we know that there are four types of lines, K, L, M and N. They are called as the energy levels. For K orbit, N equal to 1. For L, N equal to 2. For M, N equal to 3. And for N, N equal to 4. So when any electron jumps from L to K, the first line of K series will be given out as K alpha. When any electron from M orbit jumps to K orbit, then K beta line will be given out. Similarly, if an electron jumps from M orbit to L orbit, L alpha line will be given out. If an electron jumps from N orbit to L orbit, L beta line will be given out. In this way, the line spectrum we are getting through this particular type of X-rays. Now the second type, the loss of kinetic energy, gives out the second type of X-rays, which is called as continuous X-ray spectra. Now in this case, a few fast moving electrons penetrate deep into the interior of atoms of the target material and are attracted by the attractive forces of their nuclei. Due to these forces, the electrons get deflected from their original paths. In this way, the electrons are deaccelerated, that is, their velocity is reduced, and this gives rise to loss of energy. The loss of energy during retardation is given off in the form of electromagnetic radiation, that is X-rays of continuously varying wavelengths. In this diagram we can see that if the energy of the electron is 90 kilo electron volt, an electron is going to strike on this target. It is coming very close to the nucleus. Due to the attractive force between the nucleus and the electron, the retardation of electron takes place, means the velocity is reduced. As the velocity is reduced, their kinetic energy is also reduced. As the kinetic energy is reduced, the difference of kinetic energy gives out in other form of energy, which is called as X-rays. Now in this case, we can see that 80 kilo electron volt energy is given out in the form of X-ray, whereas 10 electron volt energy is just used to knock out the electron. The X-rays consist of continuous range of frequencies up to maximum frequency or minimum wavelength. This is called as continuous spectrum. Now the derivation for minimum wavelength, which is commonly called as lambda minimum. Let the velocity of an electron change from nu v to v dash due to deflection or due to collision. Let us consider that v is the initial velocity and v dash is the velocity near the nucleus. Now we know that when the electron comes near the nucleus, retardation takes place, its velocity decreases, hence its kinetic energy also decreases, and we are going to see the relation or difference of kinetic energy is given out in the form of X-ray. So if m is the mass of an electron, then the energy of the emitted photon due to reduction in velocity of the electron is given by Planck's quantum theory. Therefore, half mv square minus half mv dash square equal to h into nu, where once again h is Planck's constant, nu is the frequency of incident radiation, v is the initial velocity, and v dash is the final velocity of the electron when it is coming close to the nucleus. M is the mass of the electron. Now in this way we can see that when the electron is coming very close to the nucleus, the retardation of velocity takes place. As a result of that, energy is given out in the form of X-rays of continuous frequencies, and minimum wavelength we are getting, maximum frequency and minimum wavelength we are getting, and in this way the continuous X-rays are given out. When the electron moves very close to the nucleus, then it loses a greater amount of energy and consequently releases a photon of high frequency. Obviously, when the electron is completely brought to rest by the forces, then the liberated photon has the maximum frequency. Now we have to imagine that when the electron is coming very close to the nucleus, then the velocity of the electron for certain time period will be approximately equal to 0. It means V dash will be equal to 0. If V dash equal to 0, half mv dash square will be also equal to 0, and the equation becomes half mv square will be simply equal to h into nu. Now half mv square equal to h into nu max, because this nu max is the maximum frequency we are getting. This nu is related with the velocity of the light as hc upon lambda minimum, because h we are going to keep as it is. Instead of mu, we are going to write c upon lambda minimum. Now we know that the kinetic energy of an electron having charge E and accelerated by potential V is given by half mv square equal to E into V. Now we are going to equate this energy of the electron with the kinetic energy, because the kinetic energy can be controlled by the potential difference applied to the electron. If the potential difference is less, the kinetic energy is less. If the potential difference is more, the kinetic energy is also greater. Therefore, half mv square will also be equal to E into V, and half mv square will also be equal to hc upon lambda minimum. Now using these two equations, equations 2 and 3, we get hc upon lambda minimum will be equal to E into V, or lambda minimum will be equal to hc upon EV. Now once again, what is h? It is Planck's constant. C is the velocity of light. E is the charge of a single electron, and V is the potential difference which is applied. Then substituting the values of C equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, E as 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, and H equal to 6.624 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second, we get the final value of minimum wavelength of continuous X-rays as 12,400 upon V angstrom unit. 12,400 comes by the calculation of this hc upon E. We are going to keep V as it is. So 12,400 upon V angstrom unit is the final formula for minimum wavelength of X-rays. Now depending on this formula, we can solve the number of numericals. Let us see the first sample numerical. Find the minimum wavelength of X-rays produced by an X-ray tube operated at 1000 kilovolt. Given H, E, C as the common values which we use oftenly. Then lambda minimum will be equal to hc upon EV. Substituting the values of hc and E and V as 1000 kilovolt as 1000 into 10 raised to 3. So lambda minimum comes out to be 0.01243 angstrom unit. Now this 0.01243 angstrom unit is having the previous value as 1.2431 into 10 raised to minus 12. It can be written as 0.01243 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter, or it can be equal to 0.01243 angstrom unit. The second numerical, an X-ray is operated on 20 kilovolt. Calculate the minimum wavelength of X-rays emitting from it. Voltage is given as 20 kilovolt, so we can directly use the formula of lambda minimum equal to 12,400 upon V angstrom unit. So it can be 12,400 upon 20 into 10 raised to 3 angstrom unit. Lambda minimum will be equal to 0.62 angstrom unit. Now, as a summary, we are going to see the difference between characteristic and continuous X-ray spectra. Now, characteristic X-ray spectra, as the name suggests, it is the characteristic of the target material, whereas continuous X-ray spectra is not the characteristic of the target material. The first difference between these two is few of the fast moving electrons may hit surface atoms and knock out one of the electrons situated from innermost shell, The filling of vacancies by the electron gives X-rays, whereas in continuous X-ray spectra, few of the fast moving electrons move very close to the nucleus, then they lose a greater amount of energy and consequently releases a photon of high frequency, which are called as X-rays. Now in characteristic X-ray spectra, as we have earlier seen, they are the characteristics of the target material. If you are going to change the target material, the type of X-ray spectra and the quality of X-rays will be changed, or it will be varying. Whereas in continuous X-ray spectra, they are not the characteristics of the target material. Even if you change the target material, the type and quality of X-rays will be the same. In characteristic X-ray spectra, they are discontinuous. We are not getting the continuous lines, whereas in continuous X-ray spectra, they are continuous. Now these are the diagrams which indicate that how the characteristic X-ray spectra is coming out, and this diagram indicates how the continuous X-ray spectra is coming out. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.